Room 23. It's a Sunday in July. The place is full. All 60 rooms, which on a holiday weekend in Florida almost never happened. And the phone at the front desk rings a little after 11. The woman in 23 says something's biting her. I grab my flashlight and walk down. Peel the top sheet back. Run the light along the piping on the mattress, that little stitched seam that goes all the way around the edge. And there they are, 3 of them tucked in the fold, flat and brown, about the size of an apple seed. One of them fat and dark red, because it had already had its supper. Offer. Here's what that meant. That room rented for $38 a night. The second I saw those bugs, 23 was done. No renting it tomorrow, not till it was clean. But that wasn't what kept me up. What kept me up was 22 and 24 right through the wall, and the room she'd checked out of the week before, and the laundry cart that had rolled past every door on that wing. One bed bug is never one bed bug. It's a down payment. So I'm going to show you a trap you can build tonight out of stuff that's probably already in your kitchen for about $3. It catches bed bugs. It tells you for sure whether you've got them and roughly how bad before you've spent a dime on poison. It won't gas your grandkids the way a bug bomb will, and it won't put anything on your mattress that you wouldn't put on your hands. And I'm going to show you the 2 cheap things you do alongside it that actually clear the room. The whole kit, start to finish, runs you under $30. My name's Earl. I spent 40 years as the maintenance man at a 60-room motel off a state road in Florida. 60 rooms means every problem you've got at home, I had 60 of at once, and a manager who wouldn't spend a nickel he didn't have to. We had bed bugs come through that building more times than I can count. Truckers carried them in. Families carried them in. They don't care who you are. And I'll tell you straight, we have not lost a room to bed bugs for more than a couple of nights since 1994. Not because we hired anybody, because we figured out what actually works, and it costs almost nothing. That's what this video is. I'm going to walk you through the trap, step by step, with the real prices and where the stuff goes, then the 2 things you do with it, then exactly where to put it all so it works the first time. And I'm going to tell you the part that ought to bother you, which is that the people who treat bed bugs for a living have known the cheap version works for a long time, and there's a reason it never comes up. It's not a conspiracy. Nobody needs to coordinate. They just need to stay quiet, and they have. Stay with me. By the end of this, you'll be able to walk into any room in your house, find out for certain whether you've got a problem, and start clearing it the same night, without calling a soul. If an old maintenance man's tricks are worth your time, hit subscribe and the thumbs up. It tells me you want more of these, and it's the only way I know. Now, here's what most folks get wrong. The phone call comes, somebody panics, and they go buy a bug bomb. One of those foggers you set in the middle of the room, pull the tab, and walk out. And they think that's it. Done. It's worse than doing nothing. A fogger throws a mist that lands on the open floor and the top of the dresser, the places a bed bug never is. Bed bugs don't live in the open. They live an inch from where your head goes, in the seam of the mattress, in the joint of the bed frame, behind the baseboard. And they come out for one reason, which is you, breathing in your sleep. A fogger doesn't reach a quarter inch into a crack. What it does do is irritate them and send them deeper into the wall and into the next room. I watched a fella 2 doors down from us at a different motel set off a dozen of those things and turn one bad room into a bad floor. And there's a second piece. These bugs aren't the ones your granddad knew. After the war, they got hit so hard with DDT, they all but vanished from this country. Gone for 50 years. They came roaring back right around the turn of the century. And the ones that came back are the ones that survived everything we threw at them. They shrug off a lot of the sprays you can buy. So you can't poison your way out of this blind. And you can't poison your way out of it with the same old stuff. You have to know where they are first. That's the whole job of the trap. Here's how you build it. Get an empty plastic bottle, a soda bottle, a water bottle, doesn't matter. Fill it with warm water up to about the bottom of the label. Not hot, not cold. Warm like a baby's bath. Hot water kills what we're about to put in. Cold water won't wake it up. Then a couple of spoonfuls of plain white sugar, the same bag you bake with. Then a packet of active dry yeast. Has to be the active kind, the stuff that's still alive. The little packets by the flour at any grocery store, about $1 for 3. Cap it and swirl it gentle. Don't shake it hard. You'll know it's working in a few minutes when it goes cloudy and starts to bubble down at the bottom. That bottle is now making carbon dioxide, same gas you breathe out, and that's the bait. Now the catcher. Take a smooth plastic container, a bowl, a tub, a takeout dish, anything with slick sides. Wrap the outside, top to bottom, with masking tape or any rough tape. Sticky side in so the rough paper faces out. That gives the bugs something to grip so they can climb up the outside. Then dust the inside of the bowl with baby powder, the regular stuff, and brush it around so the whole inner wall is coated. That makes the inside slick as ice. They can climb up the rough outside. They tip over the edge, and they cannot climb back out of the powder. Set your bubbling bottle right in the middle of the bowl. Take the cap off, and if you want to do it right, tent a loose plastic sandwich bag over the mouth of the bottle so the gas spills down the sides instead of straight up. Carbon dioxide is heavier than air. It pools in the bowl like water in a bucket. The bugs smell breakfast, climb the tape, fall in the powder, and they're stuck. Walt showed me a version of this in 1981, and I thought he was out of his mind. Walt was the old maintenance man who trained me, started me at that motel in '78. He took a tuna can, dumped a little of the talcum powder we sold in the toiletry machine into it, and slid it under the leg of a bed in room 14. I told him he was wasting talcum. Next morning, that can had 9 bed bugs sitting in the bottom that couldn't get out. He didn't even have the gas part figured yet. Just the slick cup under the bed leg, catching the ones already trying to climb up to feed. That trick alone is worth knowing. You can set a powdered cup under each leg of any bed, and the only way for a bug to reach the mattress is to climb through it and fall in. Now the trap is honest work, but it's not the whole job. It tells you what you're dealing with, and it thins the herd, but it won't clear a real infestation by itself. Anybody who tells you a soda bottle's going to end it is lying to you. So here are the 2 cheap things you do alongside it, and these are the killers. First one's a bag of dirt, diatomaceous earth. Get the food grade kind. Say that. Food grade. About $12 for a bag that'll last you years. It's a fine white powder made of ground up fossil shells. And under a microscope, it's all sharp edges. It's harmless to you. It scratches up the waxy coat on a bug's shell and dries it out from the outside until it dies. Here's the beautiful part. A bug can get used to a poison. It cannot get used to having its skin scratched off. There's no evolving around that. You take a little of it and you puff a thin film. Thin, you can barely see it, into every crack and crevice near the bed. The seam where the carpet meets the baseboard. The joints and screw holes of the bed frame. Along the edge of the box spring. They've got to cross it to get to you. And crossing it is what gets them. It keeps working as long as it stays dry. Stays dry, it works for months. Second one's for when you actually see one. 91% rubbing alcohol, $2–3 a bottle, in a cheap pump sprayer. It kills a bed bug on contact, right now, no waiting. But you have got to listen to me on one thing, because this is the maintenance man in me and I've seen a fire marshal's report. That alcohol is flammable, real flammable. You do not spray it near a candle, a cigarette, a pilot light, a space heater, nothing with a flame or a spark. You open a window, you spray, you let it dry all the way before anybody lights anything. Do it careful and it's a fine tool. The catch is it's got no memory. Once it dries, it's done. It only kills what it lands on. That's why it's the spot tool and the dirt is the wall. And the third thing isn't even a product, it's your dryer. Strip the bed, the sheets, the pillowcases, anything cloth, and run it through the dryer on high heat. Bed bugs and their eggs die somewhere around 120 degrees, and a dryer on high blows right past that. Heat is the one thing in this whole fight they have never figured out how to survive. Can't build resistance to being cooked. I put this whole system, this one and 40 more fixes from my motel years, in a little book called Earl's Motel Maintenance Manual. The link's down in the description if you want it. Let me tell you why the gas part matters. Plain. Bed bugs find you in the dark by two things mostly. The warmth coming off your body and the carbon dioxide you breathe out. That's it. They're not looking, they're not smelling perfume. They're following your breath across the room like a string. So when you mix sugar and yeast in warm water, that yeast eats the sugar and burns it off as carbon dioxide. Same thing that makes bread rise. That's the bubbles in the dough. Your bottle is faking a sleeping person. And because that gas is heavier than the air around it, it sinks and gathers right there in your powdered bowl, exactly where you want them to fall. And before you think this is just an old man's notion, some researchers up at a university in New Jersey actually tested the homemade kind against the store-bought traps that run you 5 times the money. The cups dusted with talc, set under the bed legs, caught the bugs about as well as the fancy ones. Somebody else built the sugar and yeast gas trap, and it pulled bugs in just like the commercial bait does. I'm not making that up to make you feel good. People with letters after their names sat down and checked, and the kitchen version held up. Even the government's own people, when they write up how to handle bed bugs, the first thing they tell you is to monitor and trap before you go reaching for chemicals. The cheap stuff isn't the desperate version, it's the right version. So here's the part that ought to bother you, and I'll keep it short. When we got hit bad at the motel one summer, the manager, And this was a man who'd reuse a paper towel. Finally called a company out for a quote on the whole building. I won't tell you the number because you won't believe it, but it was more than that motel cleared in a month. A real heat treatment on a single house can run you $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. Chemical, room by room. I've seen quotes of $300 to $500 a room, and that's before they tell you it needs a second visit and a third. Meanwhile, the dirt is $12. The alcohol is $3. The trap is built from your recycling and a packet of yeast. Now, I'm not saying every one of those folks is crooked. Plenty of them work hard, and a bad enough infestation does need a pro with a heat rig. But ask yourself why, in all the noise about bed bugs, you never once heard a calm voice say, buy a $12 bag of fossil dust, run your sheets through the dryer, and set a soda bottle trap by the bed. There's no money in that sentence. Nobody's getting rich telling you the answer's in your laundry room. It's not that they got together and agreed to hide it. They just never had a reason to say it out loud, and so they didn't. They just stayed quiet, and they have. So this weekend, here's what I want you to do. Build the trap first. Warm water to the label. 2 spoons of sugar. 1 packet of active yeast. Swirl it gentle. Set it in a powdered bowl wrapped in rough tape, and tuck it right up by the head of the bed and under the legs. Pull the bed a few inches off the wall while you're at it. Leave the trap 2 or 3 days and keep the kids and the pets out of that room, because their breathing competes with your bottle, and because that's just good sense. While that's running, go get your bag of food-grade diatomaceous earth, $12, and puff a thin film into every crack and joint around the bed and along the baseboard. Pick up a bottle of 91% alcohol and a cheap sprayer for when you spot one. Window open, no flames, let it dry. And strip that bed and run everything cloth through the dryer on high. That's the whole protocol. Under $30, most of it in your house already. And you'll know by Monday morning exactly what you're up against. Now tell me in the comments where you live and what your bedbug situation looks like. Whether you're just checking or you've got a real fight on your hands, or you beat them years ago and want to make sure they stay gone. I read every one of these, and I answer the ones I can. And like I said, the full system's in the book, Earl's Motel Maintenance Manual. This fix and 40 more from my 40 years on that property. Links in the description if you'd rather have it all in one place. Next time, I'm going to show you the little jar of stuff we kept by the laundry sink that meant not one drain in that entire 60-room building ever backed up on me. Not in the rooms, not in the kitchen, not the floor drains by the pool. The plumbers would have hated me for it, which is exactly why I'm going to tell you. The folks who kept this country running knew things we're only just starting to remember.